For the last year, a lot of homeowners have been sitting on the sidelines listening to a lot of scary predictions, talks about recessions, talks about affordability, and maybe a pending even crash of the housing market. So what's really going on? Well, I can tell you here in central Maine and around the United States, spring is here and the housing market is back. Stick around, we're gonna break this down for you today. What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your central Maine realtor, Nick Isgro with eXp Realty, and today we're gonna show you some very interesting numbers that show you exactly what is going on in the current housing market, why we are seeing that numbers are up. We are seeing a very active market. If you are a buyer, you know that already. If you've been thinking about selling your home, this may be very interesting news for you. Now, before I get into any of that, I want to welcome you here to the channel. If you've never been here before, we cover all things real estate here in the state of Maine, particularly right here in the central Maine market. And if that's of interest to you or adds value to your process in the buying and selling of homes, do me a quick favor, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, knock that little alarm bell. You'll be notified every time we put out new content. Now, one of the things you've heard an awful lot, even here right on this channel, is that last fall into the early winter market, even kind of the late winter market, we did see a definite slowdown of the central Maine housing market. We saw fewer showings, stuff was sitting on the market longer, we saw a lot of price drops. And if you've been watching kind of the monthly market updates, you know that's starting to tick away. Last month we talked about that. More showings, more people coming out, not really doing any more price changes. We're somewhat beyond that. Prices are getting priced a little bit more accurately and we're seeing more competition. Now this couldn't be seen more clearly than on a graph that I'm about to show you. Take a look at this. This is data from the Showing Time app. This is an app that all real estate agents are using. This is how we book our showings. It's a way we can track showing activity. As you can see, yes, there's been a little bit of a dip from the pandemic years, but we are still raging way above those pre-pandemic levels of market activity. These are people actually going out and touring homes. So while all of that talk was about a crash or about the economy, we're not really seeing that. As you can see just from this here, people are out, they're active in the market. The market is still way more active. Buyers are far more aggressive in looking at properties than they were any time prior to the pandemic. Now, one thing that should be a footnote of interest here is that, remember, we have been here in the central Maine market adding about 1/3 fewer new listings than we were a year ago at the same time. So there's a lot fewer new listings coming to the market. We saw, again, a little bit of an uptick last month. I'll be really interested next week to check out what's going on when we enter the month of June. What happened during May? Did we add that kind of a bulk? We are seeing more listings coming onto the market, but if you look at any town right now, Waterville, Winslow, Fairfield, especially when you niche that down into any person's particular category, say you're looking for a 2-bath, 3-bed between 200,000 and 300,000, not a lot of listings. There's very few listings, and that's what's driving these multiple offer scenarios. But what else is going on? What else would be happening outside of the inventory that we've kind of talked about ad nauseum here on this channel that would be driving a lot of the showing activity in spite of inventory challenges and really in spite of some economic challenges? When we look at interest rates and the affordability index, you would think that that would be peeling a lot of these people off. It's still very active. What else is going on? Take a look at this graph. I'm going to bring this up now. The job market continues to outperform where we've been expecting. April coming in way above March, new jobs added to the economy. And it's easy to kind of look at these numbers in a vacuum, but one of the things that's important to remember when we go back to that real estate crash, 2008, were we adding jobs to the economy at that point? No, we were actually losing not just some jobs, not just even hundreds of thousands. We were losing millions of jobs that triggered the big foreclosure crisis that was on top of all of the bad credit that was cooked into the system. Here we have, in spite of the challenges, a job market that continues to grow. And if you live here in central Maine, especially if you are a small business owner, or maybe you're just a manager in a large business here, you know it's very difficult to find help right now. Even with the increase in wages that we've seen over the last few years of the minimum wage, very difficult to find good, steady, reliable help no matter what business you're in, across the board. This is something I think is going to continue to happen. as we move forward. Obviously, I'm not claiming to be an economist here, but this is something that clearly is fueling the economy and helping people who are out there looking for homes. You know, they're out, there's certainly work available, they're finding jobs, they're probably getting paid more than they would have been about 5 or 6 years ago, and they are looking for housing, which, by the way, there's not much of. Now, if that weren't enough, I want to bring up one more graph, and we're going to take a look at the unemployment rate. And let's bring this up right here. Right now, unemployment in this country, the lowest rate we've seen since 1969. So that's huge. So when you hear employers talking about it's hard to find help, and when you hear people talk about this kind of pending doom that we're going to see in the housing market, it's just not happening. And what we are seeing, however, on the other hand, is we have a lot of millennials who are reaching their prime earning ages. They're hitting their 40s and really hitting those prime earning years. They've saved up a lot of money. They've paid down historically a lot of debt right now over the past 20 years, and they're ready to buy homes. They're starting families if they don't already have a family, and upsizing. They're looking to start and get into that first ownership position. That is fueling as the biggest sector of home buyers. Meanwhile, the boomer generation just simply is not selling at the pace necessary to keep up with the demand of the millennials. So that's one of the big things that's happening in the housing market right now. We're seeing that certainly play out here in central Maine. If you've been thinking about selling, certainly it may not be the right time for you, but if it is the right time for you, if it's something you've been thinking about, just know there are buyers in the market that are ready to go, and they're buying homes. Here's an example. I just put a house on the market last Tuesday, put it coming soon. I had an open house this weekend, Saturday. By Saturday night, we were under contract. That's how quick it's going. If you have a good quality home, it's gonna be easy to get somebody in there fast. That's really it, just a quicker video than normal, but I saw these statistics and I'm also living what's happening in the market here in central Maine. Wanted to kind of bring this to you, wrap it up so you could have that information to help you navigate. As you know, I always want you to be the most up-to-date and educated person in the market so you can make the best decisions for you and your family. Now, if you have any thoughts on this, where do you think it's going? I think we're gonna see that same prediction I've been predicting for a while, more of the same. I think we're gonna have limited inventory. I think we're gonna have a strong pool of buyers that remain in the market looking for homes. And I think that the combination of those two things, along assuming the economy stays the way it's going, with the job numbers, with the unemployment numbers, I don't think the interest rates are going to have the effect that everybody thinks that they were going to have. And we're going to continue to see a very strong housing market right here in central Maine. So what are your thoughts? I would love to hear from you. Go ahead, drop a comment below. Always love to hear your thoughts, not only from your experience, but also your predictions. Of course, as always, I thank each and every one of you for sticking around to the end of this video. Till the next one, I'll see you next time.